Welcome.
Absolute craziest fucking thing to happen to me since doing Moldy Creations.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting at home doing my work one day, and then my phone goes off, and I answered it, and the guy's telling me he's Andy Dick's personal assistant. And I'm like, what? Okay, what's up? What can I do for you? He's like, well, Andy's starting his own podcast. He's interested in having you on the show. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah, sign me up, bro. So he's like, okay, cool. He's like, well, is there any opportunity that you could come to LA and like hang out so we can kind of like get to know you first and that kind of thing before we just jump into a show? And I was like, definitely. I don't live that far away. You know, I'm in Pismo Beach. It's only 3 hours away.
Right.
So I drive down there and I pick up his assistant. And my first impression was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because he looks like he's like maybe 17 years old. He's like this short Asian guy. And he looks like he could be in a boy band, you know?
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, this is already a little interesting. But I did talk to Andy on the phone before I drove down there. So it was legit. Like I knew it was going to be legit. Plus his Instagram page had pictures of him and Andy, him and like DJ Khaled, him and like Machine Gun Kelly, like all kinds of stuff. Oh, so he's legit, you know. So I go down there knowing it's legit.
There goes Matt's bong. He's going to need a new one.
Oh, no. But so anyway, I pick up this guy. He doesn't even have a car. So I'm picking up somebody who doesn't have a car. And he's like, oh, yeah, so let's go over to Andy's house. He should be waking up. It's fucking 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Does he still live in a shed?
You know what? No, he doesn't. Okay, so this ties into that.
Okay.
So this ties in. So I go over to Andy Dick's new house. He's just moving into it. And I pulled in the driveway, and the assistant's name is Joey. So Joey gets out and he goes inside, and then Andy Dick comes out. He looks like he just woke up, and I was like, I'm looking at him like, holy shit, it's Andy Dick. And so then I get out of the car and I go and I just basically get like this really quick tour of the new house, and I'm just like looking around. Like there's this picture of Marilyn Manson painted of Andy and all this other random shit, and I'm like in Andy Dick's house. This is the fucking weirdest, most like surreal thing that's happened to me in a long time. And then I made a bong for Joey that I brought with. So they're all like checking it out and going crazy. And Andy took pictures of himself using it and holding it. And then Joey wants to go do something or go somewhere. So I end up going with Joey to hang out with him. And we just mobbing around LA. Then we go to the Comedy Store in LA.
Yep.
And I meet Joe Rogan.
Wow.
I meet Bobby Lee. I meet Chris D'Elia. I meet Harlan Williams.
Wow.
And a couple others are escaping me right now. And I mean, I meet them. I'm fucking hanging out with them in the secret backstage bar.
My God.
Holy shit.
Nobody's allowed in. And
That's
I'm not. And then fucking Jeff Ross comes in, puts his arm around me. I mean, it was so bizarre. And then Andy shows up, and then he tells me he forgets his wallet. So I end up fucking buying Andy $50 worth of wine.
Worth it. Totally fucking worth it.
Dude.
I was like, this is a small price to pay. I don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
You're one of the very few not employee or comedians that get to go back in that place.
Yeah. And then the lady who was bartending wanted me to leave, but Andy was like, no, he's with me. He's hanging out with me. And I was like, fuck yeah. And I got to stay, man. I fucking hung out back there for like an hour. And a couple other, stand-up comedians came back there between their sets. But then there's a room behind the main room's stage that's like a waiting room for the comedians.
Okay.
And me and Andy used to be in a show with Joe Rogan, radio news.
Yep.
News radio.
News radio.
And so they know each other. So like I follow Andy and Joe, and we go because Joe's about to go on the fucking main room stage and perform. He's doing his set, So me and Andy we follow Joe to the back room, and Joe is just like, there's a fucking stall right there. Joe's just taking a piss right next to me. We're all just kind of talking and bullshit, and he's just pissing right now. And then I'm literally standing next to Joe Rogan as he goes on stage. I watched him open the curtain and walk out. It was trippy, dude.
That's a perspective that many people will never have.
Yeah. It still blows my mind because I listen to Rogan's podcast all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like you see this guy all the time. And let me tell you, dude, that guy is so short.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen him perform.
I'm 5'10". He's probably 5'8".
He looks like he could rip your fucking leg off with his arms.
Oh my God,
he looks like a monkey. Like he's like.
I saw him knock someone out with a spin kick the other day.
Yes, he's a tree trunk, man. He's a tree trunk with legs.
I saw him perform one time in a pink sweater, It was hilarious. He just looked like the most deadly pink sweater I've ever seen.
The most deadly piece of bubble gum.
Dude, it was insane.
So anyway, yeah, so I hung out there for a while, but Andy he wanted to leave, so we ended up walking through LA, and then we're one street over from the main like tourist drag from like Sid Grauman's Chinese
Sunset
theater
and all that.
Yeah. We're one block over. We're behind the stages of Jimmy Kimmel, and there's a bunch of people standing around the backstage of Kimmel, and they're waiting for somebody to come out. And Andy's like, "Let's go see who the fuck's here." And I'm like, "Okay, you know." So we walk over to the back door, the exit where people are waiting. It's fucking Tom DeLonge, Blink 182, comes walking out.
Oh wow!
With one of the other Blink 182 guys, and they know Andy, and they come over and they start bullshitting with him and taking pictures. And I shook his hand and met him.
That's insane.
God,
it was the most surreal event.
This is
ever,
all within
dude.
like 12 hours. It sounds.
This
like.
is one day. Less than 12 hours because I got there at noon, and this is not even midnight. You know.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then to end the day, Andy ends up going off somewhere to meet with some girl or whatever, and then I end up hanging out with Joey, and so it's just me and Joey, and then Joey takes me to the hotel where Janis Joplin died.
Wow.
Where she overdosed, and shows me the fucking room and the spot on the floor where she died. Because
you guys standing there looking at the spot.
Oh my God.
That's it.
Yes. With the guy from the front desk at the hotel, because Joey's like tight with this guy because he comes here all the time apparently.
He's just like, that's his spot. He brings people.
Yes, it is. It's so fucking bizarre. So, and then in the closet in the room where Janis died is 1,000,000 autographs of everybody who's ever been in the room.
Oh wow.
So I got to write like Moldy Creations was here and shit in there myself too.
Good shit.
So it's off limits. You can't stay there. That's crazy.
No, you can stay there.
You can stay in the room.
You can stay in the room.
Oh, nobody fucks
Holy
with.
shit.
That's cool. Nobody fucks with.
Well, it's behind
people
plexiglass.
probably. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, so they put a big piece of plexiglass over all the autographs and shit, so they're there. But I got
Joey whips out his keys and fucking opens it for you.
Yeah. So,
Get in
and
there,
then
bud.
Joey shows me like this fucking VIP party room that him and Andy just had this really big party they were at there, and they were doing like ketamine and shit. And I'm like, fuck. So he's like showing me this room, bro. And I walk in, there is a actual size rhinoceros head on the wall, and it is bright pink. It's not real, but it's full size and it's bright pink. It's like the first thing you see, and it's like, I was like, what the fuck? And the room is so screwy. It's like zebra print on the walls, cheetah print on the floors, pink zebra head on the wall, neon pink lighting. It was like the worst LA 80s party I've ever. It was empty. Nobody was there, but
so they didn't mind it then.
Oh my God, it was so weird. And I just got done seeing where Janis Joplin died. And then we walk out of the party room. He's just showing me this hotel because he loves hanging out here and he loves having parties here, and he gets to do it for free because he knows the staff. And then we walk out and I fucking see Ron Jeremy because Ron Jeremy hangs out there too.
Holy shit.
And he looks like he's dead. He looks like he's just walking around just dead. He's just like this. Like,
dude.
It's all the blood's in his dick. He's about to pass out.
All I
he
see
has
anymore
there is
Ron
no
Jeremy
natural
pass out
endorphins
places.
left in his body.
Like he'll be at award shows, and then obviously you'll see is like,
Yeah, he's passed out. Right. Yeah, exactly. That was him. And he pulled out a kazoo. A harmonica. Where I was like, oh my God. I was like, hey, man, what's up, Ron Jeremy?
that sounds like a Ron Jeremy thing.
That's his response. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I thought you were tripping that day or something.
I swear. And then, so this was when I was actually on a weed break too. I had been on maybe 2 months clean. It's just for the hell of it because my tolerance got crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
So then because I brought Joey a custom bong, he was like, let's go use this bong. And I was like, you know what? Let's go do that. Because I've never even used one of my own pieces. The first time I'm ever going to smoke out of one of my own bongs too.
Time for first.
Yeah.
Andy
So, yeah, exactly. Well, Andy wasn't there anymore.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I ended up being with him and his girlfriend, his girlfriend is like fucking 6 foot tall. She's like a supermodel.
Yep. Sounds like it.
And then and the weed dealer comes over, and this guy, he's like 20-year-old. He looks like he's fucking homeless.
Oh my God.
So it's just me and these people that I've never met before. I take a bong rip. I got so fucking paranoid, dude. And I start looking at that pink rhinoceros head on the wall, and I'm like, what is keeping these people from locking that door and raping me in the ass with that rhino horn right now? I don't know these people.
Dude. Like Hollywood people just looking for a fucking gig, you know?
Looking for a
Yeah, and
thrill.
they were chill. They were chill. They weren't
Oh my God.
weird. But I mean, I get paranoid because I trusted a random person one time, and they did actually punch me in the face after I smoked a bowl with them.
Oh.
So
That's crazy.
I got a little PTSD from that. I
Yeah,
guess.
that'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is
the wrong people. Back
And I was like
That's
14. I was 14 years old. Me and my buddy
What?
bumped into this homeless guy in an alleyway. We smoked him out, and then he fucking went crazy, and he punched me in the face and tried to attack us.
Oh God.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so
No,
so
but
I
you
started.
goes
You're
unpunished.
traumatized, bro. You were
I'm a
definitely
little
traumatized.
Yeah, I was a little traumatized. I'm not even afraid to say that for sure. That was a little scary. But yeah, so then I'm in this fucking and I'm a homebody now, man. I got a kid. I've been working from home for 2 years at this point. It's like the first time I've been out of the house for something crazy in a long time. And it's this fucking crazy. I'm not even on mushrooms.
Oh my God. Right.
So yeah, I'm super paranoid. I'm stoned out of my mind. And then I'm just like, I got to get out of here. I think it's time to leave. This day was fucking crazy. This is too much to process anymore. I got to go. So I basically just kind of jumped up, acted like I got a phone call, and I was like, I got to take this, step down. I was like, hey, I got to get going. Something's going on. I'm family emergency. Good to meet you. Peace. So I took off. And then, but I have hung out with Andy and Joey 2 times since then. And it's always crazy, man. It's always nuts. The last time I did it, I was doing the Designer Con show, I think, or the Comic-Con maybe. And Andy came to the show, sat with me at the booth, and was taking pictures with fans underneath my big Moldy Creations banner.
Oh wow.
So that was cool. Yeah, he kind of felt like he owed me one, I think, because he got super drunk at the comedy store, and I had to pay for all his drinks. So, but
Well,
then
made
we
for a
rolled
hell of a
away.
story, that's for sure.
Oh my God, it never ends, man. Every time I go to LA, I try to call him up because I know I'm going to have some crazy story.
Oh my
But that's
God.
cool. I got his phone number. I can go hang out with Andy Dick whenever I want.
There you
Dude,
go.
he's one of the most interesting people out there too in the comedy scene.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull
Dude,
moment. And
never.
he's actually a very nice guy, honestly.
I bet he seems like too nice, and people take advantage of him.
100%.
Yeah.
There is that. He is also a super insecure person too. You can
that's
get
why
that
I'm
vibe.
taking
Yeah,
advantage
he
of him.
wants to be relevant. It's a little sad sometimes, You can definitely it's so weird because like I've always been into movies my whole life. I've seen like all the movies. My dad was a movie head, and we all went to movies. That was our thing. My dad was a single
So
father.
you
We went to movies all the time.
You've got a
So I'm
certain
familiar.
opinion of him, and then you broke that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, I broke my opinion of Hollywood, bro, because I met him and I've met a bunch of other people, and I heard all they were talking about, oh yeah, girls in porn in LA, they get, like $200 extra if they do anal. And they're telling me these details of like the shadiness. And I'm like, oh, and then Joey's like, oh yeah, man, fucking, who was it? Joey said that John Travolta, or I think John Travolta, tried to pay for him to go to Scientology and put like 10 grand in a Scientology account for Joey to go be Scientologized or whatever. And also there's all that information about, him being a potential pedophile and shit. And Joey looks like a little boy a little bit.
Jeez.
There was, I mean, the fucking talk about shattering my perception. Like you always think there's that, but when you're face to face with it, it was weird.
Yeah, it's odd when people get positions of power and like the fact that they're total creeps doesn't really come into play at all. And everyone's that's kind of how it is. It's just
and those people, they keep themselves entirely surrounded by people who are cool with it. So there's never going to be weird buffer.
Right. It's all yes men who are afraid to like say anything really, and then it kind of perpetrates that terrible behavior. Yeah,
funny story actually. My buddy who's in special effects, his name's Ken. He actually did like the teeth for the Geico cavemen.
Oh, okay.
Things like so. He gets told he's going to make a face cast of Justin Bieber, and that Bieber's kind of a dick, and that he gets claustrophobic too. He doesn't want to be in this face mask thing, and so he's already kind of trying to prepare for this shit. So then Bieber rolls up with a squad of yes men, and Bieber is basically the biggest tool in the shed, and was like, he's like, "Come on, man, let's do this right now. I don't have all day. Let's do this." He's clearly on something, and then like he's like talking about himself. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I just dropped a new album. It's so sick." He's like, "Yo, Brian, how sick's that new album I just made?" He's like, "Yeah, Justin, that album's real sick, dog."
Oh my God.
And then the guy, he goes to do the face cast, and it's not even fully set yet. Justin just jumps up, tears it off his face, throws it off the ground, and he's like, "You can use that, right?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, oh well, I'm out of here." Fucking left.
Holy shit.
Didn't even finish. Didn't even get the job done.
That's fucked, man.
That's how it is, man. It's
Egos.
fucking weird.
That's what it is. It's the egos get so big.
Well, he grew.
The Eagle has landed.
You're listening to American Slacker Podcast with Matthew Gertz and Jesse Landers.
Welcome to American Slacker Podcast. As always, I'm Matt.
And I am Jesse, and today we are joined by our guest artist, Joe Rowles. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Ours, man. Yeah, Jesse's been busy checking out your stuff. He passed it my way, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, you can get lost in some of your art, dude. I mean, these are some of the most intricate I think I've ever seen.
I appreciate that. Much appreciation. I've been definitely making the rounds, it seems like, since lockdown started. You know, a lot more people are at home doing some social media-ing. And I've definitely gained about 10,000 followers in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. It's been
congrats. It's a wave.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It comes in waves too, and this was a good one.
So can you tell our audience a little bit about like your style, what you do as an artist?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I basically just customize anything that I can get my hands on, or if people have specific suggestions and then I think I can do it, I'm definitely able to customize things like cell phones, mugs, water pipes, regular pipes. I don't know, just so many things. I've done hundreds of things, but I always stick to like a kind of a similar subject, kind of like gore, kind of horror, but also kind of silly, you know, kind of like I always bring it back to 80s horror is kind of one of my like inspirations, you know, the classic, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, the practical effects days, you know, back before CG really took over and kind of cheesed it up a little bit, you know?
Right.
But yeah, that's basically what it kind of comes down to, is some good old 80s nostalgia mixed with like art that you can actually use. Functional art, I call it.
That's probably the coolest thing, or the thing that stood out the most, along with how eye-catching your style is the fact that you're making things that people could use in their everyday, like the wheat stash jars that are an actual head that sort of comes apart. If you're watching our
one right here
YouTube video, you can see he's got one right there, along with the zongs and bongs and the face masks. It was all very functional, which was something cool to me. The idea that you have this art that you're interacting with on a sort of day-to-day in some with these pieces.
Yeah, and that was a big drive for me, because nothing has annoyed any kid more than, you know, something looks so cool that has a sign that says "Please do not touch."
Oh man.
Yeah, I have a real disdain for something that you just, you know, that begs to be fondled, and you just can't do. No, I guess that's the wrong way to put it. But
hey, you can beg to be fondled.
You know what I mean?
These pieces do. They beg to be fondled. I mean, I want to pick up that zong in the back.
Oh man, I think I found a new tagline.
Begging to be fondled.
Begs to be fondled.
Let's get on a t-shirt, right?
Yeah, I got to put that one on a shirt for sure. Bump a stick or something.
No, but you're right though. It's like all these things there, you want to pick them up, hold them in your hand, and like mess around with them, and then show somebody,
you know, and say, hey, look what I got. Yeah, that's probably one of the better features of some of the smaller things. Like I make lighter sleeves, you know, that a Bic lighter can slide into. And then, you know, it's got like an eyeball, a big juicy eyeball on it, or a big nasty grin or whatever. Maybe something more themed like a Venom lighter or something like that. And even Zippos, you know, things that you can put out of your pocket in a party environment, and people are like, oh shit, you know, and then they've never seen anything like it. And that's one of the really nice things, is that I've managed to find my own path, you know, in this crazy saturated art environment where everybody's doing tattoos, or they're doing, you know, drawings and things like that, which, I mean, obviously there's some amazing talent going on, but it's kind of a saturated market now with a lot of this stuff where you see the similar stuff over and over. So I really fell into something here, you know?
It's working. I mean, and I have to ask, are you a stoner, a smoker yourself with all the paraphernalia?
Yeah. I definitely been partaking off and on since about 14, actually.
Well, you're in good company. Don't worry.
Yeah, right on. Well, my dad's an old school stoner, old school hippie. He was actually a roadie and, put together some stages for some big bands like Grateful Dead, Tom Petty.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so he was
smokes weed.
Yeah, he was definitely smoking weed. Yeah, he was driving the big rigs, setting up the stages, and then when the concert was on, he was hanging in the back with the other guys, smoking some good old, probably some wacky tobacco back then.
Listening to some of the best music at the time,
Dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he told me a story about hanging out with Tom Petty on Petty's tour bus, smoking some weed with Petty that my dad had grown from seed.
Holy fuck.
And Petty was like, "This is some good shit," so.
But stop growing after that. Like you reached the pinnacle.
Yeah, no, he hasn't stopped. Still does it off and on too. Still grows a little bit when he gets irritated with the way that the market's going. Because we have legality now in California, it doesn't mean that means that there's amazing stuff available everywhere. You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's a lot of mediocre everywhere.
Yeah, and especially if you're like familiar with like the networks that existed before all these dispensaries and stuff, I mean, there's a lot more options open to you.
Yeah, if you got yourself a good hookup, definitely you could get way better quality than what's available in some of these shops for sure.
Way cheaper.
For way cheaper. Yeah, and that's the other thing. They want these top shelf prices for this middle shelf quality, So yeah, whenever we get annoyed with all that goings on, we throw a couple of plants outside and we wait for the magic to happen. But awesome. In the meantime, for me, I actually just stick to my vape pen for the most part. I'm 35 now, and my lungs aren't what they used to be. So I've kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah, the cartridges seem to be a little bit easier on you than the.
They're easier. Yeah, they're still way pricier than I think they should be, but I get it. It's concentrates, but.
It's that's nice a hard one to make at home too. I mean, I guess you
don't
could.
Trust it. No, I don't trust any homemade concentrate.
Don't recommend.
No,
yeah,
I'm so discreet, dude. I love concentrate pens. Like, be out public, not have to worry. It doesn't really reek like weed. It's got a late smell. But man,
Matt's still out in the wild east.
I get jealous every time we talk about the show. I start reminiscing.
Work right because it's 100% illegal still, right?
Yeah, so I go to Mass, which COVID knocked that out. I can't go. It's only medical now, so I can't even go get legit carts. So I'm buying black market weed again, and I don't. And that all that scary stuff was going on right before COVID with all those black market cartridges. So that made me want to only go to the shops and buy legit stuff personally. And I understand if you can't in New York, but. Yeah, that's another one of those tragic side effects of making things illegal that have no business being illegal. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It forces you into a place where, you're still going to try whatever it takes to get what you feel like you need to function,
Absolutely. And people are using it for pain management and pain therapy and
absolutely
different kinds of things these days.
Right. Some PTSD or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many variety of things that it helps with that nobody has any business telling you don't have the right to have it,
Right. And now they could be smoking it out of one of these cool ass fucking pieces that you make, which makes it
up, dude.
Just
grinding it up.
An eyeball, dude.
People of their God-given right to some sweet moldy art.
Yeah, so I mean that even the grinder in the back, like the big eye and like the very flesh tone things, they remind me sort of. I get like the I'm a big fan of the. There you go. Oh man, it's so much detail to it too.
Yeah, multiple compartment, and then that's solid resin. The eyeball on that's glass, so it's got that extra shiny, glossy, goopy look to it. And then I gloss it with a resin epoxy that makes it extra shiny. And I don't know if the camera picking up all the individual
vibes of like The Thing, which is like one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, there's several versions of it, and I love them all because all of them are so awesome. They just have so many crazy creatures going on, and
seriously.
Iconic for sure.
Is what other you said that movies from the 80s were like big influences on? Are there ones specifically that you hold close to your heart?
I'm terrible with off top of my head stuff, but I mean, Big Trouble in Little China. That's
okay.
Stuff like that with the Guardian eyeball head that floats down the hallways, and then the Wild Man, the big orange ape looking thing with the crazy dragon face. Loved that stuff. I mean, that was right when I was at the age of 7 to 12 or something like that, when I was honing in on some of those classics. But I didn't get into like the super crazy gory stuff that was around, obviously, because I was still pretty young. I did catch a couple of times. I walk in the room and catch a little something. Maybe my brother was watching, and I'd be traumatized for a minute, but like that stuff sticks with you. And then now that I'm older and I'm more aware of like Hollywood, I can laugh because I know it's fake. And now, as being an adult, you look at it looks fake. So that helps a lot. I'm not like, some people look at my stuff and they think I must be like a gore horror or just a horror freak or something. No, I'm not. I love a good horror movie on occasion, but I'm not all about that life for sure. This is just kind of like a cool hobby that took off, and I'm definitely honing my skills in it, since it seems to be a really awesome niche market, you know what I mean? But it's not like that's my whole life, but definitely have some cool movies.
You don't go to bed and wrap yourself in a giant flesh blanket.
No, nothing like that. No, I'm a pretty casual guy behind the scenes. I'm married. I got a couple kids, and I work from home, so I'm really just a homebody.
What do your kids think of this? Do they?
Actually, I have my 5-year-old. He loves it. He's funny. He looks at it and he says, "Oh man, look at all this creepy stuff, Dad. You really like creepy stuff." And it's funny because he's like taking it in, but he thinks it's cool and gross, and sometimes he's like. He comes in and he looks around the room. And he's like, "Why are you making all this creepy stuff?" And it's just so funny because he's my oldest. My second isn't even born yet. So we're still waiting on that. But
okay.
Yeah, he's so funny because like everything he says is so unexpected to me since he's my first. And you never know what kids are going to say, and he definitely says the darndest things.
Yeah, man, I can imagine he's just like looking at that, and it's so intimidating as a child. You're like, what in the hell?
But he's got this super outgoing personality. Like if we take him into a restaurant, he's talking to people sitting down eating. He's talking to the waitresses, and then he's coming over. I really like talking to the girls, Dad. I'm like, I can tell.
That a boy.
So, he's just a ham, and he's just really outgoing already and charismatic. So when he sees it, he's like, wow, that's crazy. He's like, anyway.
That's hilarious.
So I see that you have all kinds of stuff available for purchase on your what is that, Shopify site, I believe?
Yeah, it's moldycreations.com. It is. I have it hosted by Shopify, which is a really easy to use platform. I've been enjoying that. I actually started out on Etsy originally because it's such a simple platform, and it's a whole world of artists that are already on there. And then I eventually, once I started getting really popular and busy, I decided to get my own website, mainly in part because on Etsy, people can be looking at my stuff, but then off to the side, it's like suggesting similar things made by other people. And I'm like, I shouldn't have something like that right next to mine saying, hey, go to this other place too while you're at it. So I thought it would make more sense business-wise to just have it on my own platform, and it's been good. Yeah, the only thing that I would say that I don't like is that I don't have the ability for people to leave reviews, and I have hundreds of these awesome reviews on Etsy that I kind of had to leave behind. And sometimes when people see something on social media, like on Facebook, and then they just see moldycreations.com, people are kind of like suspicious, a little bit of things. And I'm not, justly so. There's so much bullshit going on. There's so many scams. Totally. There's Facebook scams, there's cell phone scams, there's mail scams, email scams. It's insane. I remember I was actually just listening to the news saying over half of all calls this year will be scams.
So yeah, I seems like that's all I get these days, unless I'm the one sending out a call.
Yeah, nobody's calling me except for scammers.
You know what's nice though? The IRS guy stopped calling, saying that I owed 25 grand.
Right?
That was cool. That went away. He wasn't going to call the cops on me anymore. So that was
yeah. Thank goodness.
You're in the clear. Good.
Yeah, I'm in the clear. I think.
And all he wanted was gift cards to pay those debts, those fines.
Target gift cards, man.
Yeah,
Oh, you should have done that deal. You can't get better.
He wanted half of it in Target gift cards. You know, he was going to give me a half deal. You know, I was contemplating it, but I was like, you know what? I'd rather spend the money on other things. You know?
That is so unlike Uncle Sam. That's very kind of him.
Yeah.
I know, dude. Cutting deals these days.
COVID deals. Yeah, sure.
Well, you know, if you're concerned with like the reputation and reviews and stuff like that, eBay wouldn't be a terrible place to put your stuff up to make it available.
But again, that's their own thing, and I don't know. I guess I've always been like a entrepreneurial, mindset. Like I want to do it my way, and I want to do it myself. And
I don't blame you.
And you cut out the commission that like a company that would be selling your product.
No, not really, because Shopify takes its share. Then the back end processor of the credit card, they take their share.
Yeah.
PayPal takes their share. Yeah. It all adds up. And then there's a monthly fee to even Shopify account, and there's different tiers depending on what you want to, add, what kind of bonus features essentially you want to unlock with those. But yeah, it adds up, but it's all part of doing business, and it's probably a hell of a lot cheaper than having a storefront still.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, during times like these, when you can't even have your store be open, you know what I mean? I got really lucky having a online only store, because I actually went and spoke to somebody about storefront property about a year ago, and the guy just never got back to me after even showing me the place. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I don't need it, and it was a really good thing, and it was a sign that it didn't just happen, because here we are.
Right. It sort of worked out.
Yeah. Talk about luckily being prepared. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not intentionally. I actually was doing construction before I did this. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go into people's homes. I was doing like go to your house, fix your sink or toilet, or install a new tile floor in the bathroom, or anything, just general contractor stuff. Mm-hmm. And then because my son was born, I found myself at home a lot, which before my son was born, I would go off, ride my motorcycle on the weekends, or be video gaming, or, be at the beach, things like that. So finding myself home a heck of a lot more after becoming a dad, I still had the art itch that I've always had my whole life. So I just was like, how about if I think of a way to not only like have a hobby because I'm home, but find a way to make money doing it too. I mean, obviously that's the best of both worlds. And it fell together. As a matter of fact, I grabbed something to show you. This guy right here. This is kind of what started it. When I first was playing with the ideas of what I should do, I was thinking of wood carving. I think I saw some video of somebody making some really cool wood carvings. And so I grabbed a Dremel and I sat down with this hunk of, the wrong kind of wood, basically. And the idea was to make a skull, which turned into this weird alien guy, because it's quite a learning curve, learning how to subtract material from something and still come up with shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when there's going to be concaving and stuff that goes under, like for a jaw.
It's one of those things that you probably think like, oh, this will be not that hard. And then you get into it.
Exactly. I was like, that sounds real simple. Sure. And plus, if you watch a couple of people do it, they always make it look real easy. But as you can see, this is the only thing I ever made. And I mean, this took me probably an hour and a half sitting cramped with a Dremel vibrating in my hand. And I was like, this isn't going to work. I can't go in the house because I'm filthy. My hand hurts like crazy. This isn't what I was going for, And you can see I actually sketched out a pattern on here. I was going to go for teeth and gums. And I had the idea already. I really wanted to make viscerally organic looking sculptures. I already had that in my mind, but it was going to be wood originally, and it wasn't working out. So I actually went online, and I was basically just Googling reference material, like just teeth and gums and things like that. And I found a couple of other sculptures from other artists that were using what I now use, which is polymer clay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's clay, it's sculpting clay. Goes to traditional clay, which is a water-based, it's wet clay. That stuff dries out if you leave it out. This is a plastic-based clay, which will only cure or harden if you bake it in an oven at least 275 degrees. So it doesn't even have to go into a kiln, fortunately. Like ceramics, they've got to go in like at 1,000 or whatever degrees.
Right.
And there's a chance that it will explode in the kiln and destroy that piece and everything else you put in in the kiln.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of limitations to how real you can make something look with ceramics as well. So I really kind of just stumbled into this material, this polymer clay, but I haven't looked back. I love it. I use it for everything. And
that's like seems to be the perfect material in terms of like you can pretty much solidify it at home in your home oven, and it's flexible enough and fleshy enough to fit exactly what you were looking for here. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm going to show you, this one's baked already, but this is a natural color of the Sculpey. It's this beige color already. So I worked it on there, and then I molded it to have these spikes, and then I put a lot of texturing into it. This one still has yet to be painted. It's one of my Halloween pumpkin bongs.
Cool.
Which seems kind of hard to see with the lighting, but
do you find with that? Oh, that's really cool.
It's like Jack Skellington.
That's a little easier to see. That's really so cool. This is a Halloween pumpkin bong. It'll be orange and look like a real pumpkin when I'm done with it. And it's kind of funny how I made it. I actually used a real pumpkin to mold this guy. I carved a real pumpkin right at Halloween time and used my mold making materials. And so then I rotocast it so that it is hollow inside. And then while it's still soft and malleable, I open it up and put the sour glass bong inside of it and then seal it all up. Yeah, so this is solid resin on this piece here. This stuff is clay and still needs to be painted and sealed and then locked in with the epoxy resin to make it glossy and shiny, which also serves to protect it better too.
I was going to say, it probably does a hell of a job keeping that safe.
Yeah, it's I would say it's stronger than the glass, but it's not as strong as plastic itself. The clay, though, that is. The resin is as strong as hard plastic. I mean, that stuff doesn't break. But the clay does, and that's why I go the extra length to put the epoxy resin, which started out as protective, but because it's so glossy and I put it on there nice and thick, it makes the whole thing look like glass and just adds this extra like professional finish to it that, I don't know, man, it just really gives it that final look, you know?
Well, yeah, it almost like a sheen too, like a sweat to the flesh.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, it just gives it that yucky, gooky extra. Like on something like that, it really brings out the slimy effect.
I haven't seen the skull stuff yet. That's sick.
Yeah, I've got a couple of even cooler ones. There's one called the Beast Mode, which has ram horns coming off.
Wow.
And it's also on one of the sour twists. And so it's that one's pretty gnarly. And then there's also the Skull Gasm, which is essentially the same thing, but no ram horns on it. And then if you look through my catalog, you'll see that I have a moldy skull bag, which is exactly like this, but the skull has a zipper around it here and opens up. And then inside of it is a brain pattern material liner.
Wow.
Yeah. That one's been pretty popular, but it takes so long that, it kind of costs quite a bit. So I don't sell a ton of them, but people who get them, they love them. And they usually give them to, that lovely lady in their life.
I got to say, they are like centerpieces that you could put out. And I mean, you could look past that they're bongs or like whatever they might be, man. They are just fucking crazy sculptures. And again,
well, as a matter of fact, since you said that, let me reveal a brand new piece just for you guys.
American Slacker.
This is the Rick and Morty sour twist.
Dude, we are big fans of Rick and Morty.
Oh my gosh, love that show. I'm so happy they're back again. Not only do they have more seasons coming, but they finally picked up where they stopped like right in the middle of this season.
Yep.
But yeah, this was actually commissioned from a customer who really wanted something Rick and Morty and kind of psychedelic on the sour glass. So this was what I pieced together. I got that classic.
Sour's a company or?
Yeah, Sour Glass is what this. You might actually recognize this as the original Zong from like the 90s. It's the same company, but back in the day when the federal government decided to crack down on stoners by fucking with the glass companies, he got shut down. But he came back and is now known as Sour Glass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll stop using the Zong. word.
Yeah, so it is a zong, but I refer to it what he calls it now. It's a sour glass twist.
Okay, cool.
That's what it is now. But it's the same guy, same design, same good stuff. Yeah, he reached out to me less than a year ago, I'd say now, and was like, "Hey, you want to work together? I'll send you a couple pieces. You do them up, and you keep two, and you send me back one." And I was like, "Sounds good," And that's actually, this is the design that first piece I made and sent to him looked like. It has the eyes going around it on it, like this one with these gnarly little spikes coming off of it, and then the blue veins you can see on there,
and the little portholes into it too. That's
some windows so you can see your water levels and all that good stuff. And the bottoms are always open on these so you can see inside.
Nice.
But yeah, that's actually what it looked like. And I sent this back to him, and he put it on his page, and he had a really big response from people who follow him on Instagram, and including the band Slightly Stupid. They wanted one for their music studio. Yeah. So I've had some pretty cool opportunities come up along the way here, and I've been doing this.
So it was featured in one of their music videos, you saying?
No, not like that. He put it on his Instagram page after I sent it back to him, and they responded to the Instagram page saying they really wanted to get one made for their music, for the recording studio. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just to have it. Wow, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, just to kind of have it as a centerpiece wherever they'd be chilling.
Damn.
Yeah. So some cool opportunities like that have come up since I started doing this, and I've been doing it now for just under 5 years. I'm coming up on 5 years. Sometime around June or August, maybe. I think is when. So it'll be about my 5-year anniversary doing this. And during that time, I think that within the first year was when Miley Cyrus reached out to me on Instagram directly.
Wow!
And I was like blown away. But she actually asked me she commissioned me for a custom cell phone case, which she gave as a gift to Wayne Coyne of the Flaming Lips.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was one of the first wow moments. It was like somebody sent me a message on Instagram saying like, "Holy shit, Miley Cyrus is following you now," and I didn't even know who that person was, and I was like, "What, really?" So I go and look, and sure enough, and then maybe an hour or like a next day or something like that, she sent me a direct message. It was like, "Hey, you make cool shit. I really want to get something," and I was like, okay.
Sure. Anything. What do you want?
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, well, I really want to get, Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips, one of your phone cases. And then that was all she really said. But I was already making things looking somewhat like this. So I kind of got the idea what she might want. So what I did was I actually looked at an image from Google of Wayne Coyne going like this, like,
oh, wow.
And I made a copy of his teeth, his tongue, and it looked almost identical to how his teeth, he's got a couple crooked teeth, and
cool.
I made it match his face, basically, just from the nose to the chin, basically,
right.
This part.
But that's so badass. That's like a personalized fucking flesh mold for your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the kind you were just thinking of.
Although I have had requests, let me tell you.
Oh God.
But I ended up sending that to her down there in LA, and she gave it to him as a gift. And then he posted a picture of him and his girlfriend holding it up and doing like a selfie in the mirror kind of a thing.
That's awesome.
So that was the first real big victory. The next one was I got invited to be on a little show in the Bay Area called the Circus of Chaos. It was a local access show featuring talent from all over, really. That guy, he saw my stuff on Insta, reached out, invited me to come to the Bay Area. I just moved away from the Bay Area, so I'm pretty familiar with it already. Mm-hmm. I lived in Dublin, Pleasanton for a while.
Right.
Matter of fact, I worked at the Lowe's in Dublin. Shout out to the Lowe's.
Okay, there you go.
Dublin.
Right off of 680 over there?
Yeah, that's the one. I worked there as a manager for about 5 years before moving back here to the Central Coast, Pismo Beach area. So went up there, did the show, and that was so much fun because it was in the local access like TV studio. So it's a legit studio. It's all kind of like put together by whoever rents the studio, I guess. But that was cool. That was like the first like showbiz kind of eye-opening experience for me. And it wasn't like it had a huge reach, but it was a lot of fun. But after that, one of my local newspapers reached out and did an article about my work. And then after that, Netflix reached out to me. Warner Brothers reached out to me.
Wow.
And they were like, hey, we're making this new stoner show on Netflix starring Kathy Bates. And it's going to take place in a medical marijuana shop in Colorado. And we want to have one of your bongs in the show.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, wow. I said, I am absolutely down. So they commissioned me for the first ever Yuck Mouth bongs, what I call it. And it's just a straight beaker with a face on it. I don't have any made right now, so I could show you that. But
so that's in that first episode of Disjointed on Netflix?
It's in the second season, actually. Okay. Yeah, they reached out to me before the first season came out, but I don't think they found the right placing for it in that season.
They're like, we're gonna find a place for this fucking bong now.
Well, I never heard back from them again after I shipped it off. So I was like, what the fuck? Damn. I told everybody. I was like, I made this.
It's one of the producers like, I got to get one of those bongs, dude. How do I not pay for it?
Maybe it was Kathy Bates. She scammed you.
Probably swiped it. Yeah. And then somebody was like, where'd that thing go? We had something for the show around somewhere.
I don't know.
No. But then the second season came out and I had already given up completely. I didn't even know the second season was out. And then somebody sent me a message and was like, oh, I just saw one of your bongs and Disjointed. And I was like, you must be mistaken. They didn't use my bong and Disjointed. And then he's like, no, season 2, episode 7. There's this really funny commercial kind of like midway through the show where, they make fun of commercials in that show.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's making fun of the classic waking up with Folgers in your cup. It's like waking up with Toklers in your bong. And so this kid like comes home for Christmas and he smokes a bong load first thing in the morning with his grandma. And the old lady is the one using the moldy bong. It's
that's funny.
It's classic. It's classic. I do have it on my YouTube channel, just that clip it, Moldy Creations YouTube. So you can find that if you want to just isolate that and not try and hunt it down on Netflix. The show itself was silly, but honestly, I thought it misrepresented stoners, was kind of more stupid.
That's how I felt. I mean, it felt like it was trying to bridge a gap between actual stoners and like a family watches a sitcom. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, exactly. Especially with
it's a hard mark to hit.
Yeah, there was those two in the shows like Dabby and something. I don't even know. It was so ridiculous.
I didn't watch that many episodes.
Yeah.
I watched closely. I was like, okay, in a minute now, that fucking moldy bomb's going to pop up on screen. It's all going to be worth it. No. And then they canceled the show after the second season, so it's not coming back.
Well, at least I made it on.
Yeah,
I did find out what happened to the bong. A Hollywood medical shop posted it on their Instagram and they tagged me. And then I was like, oh shit, it's the original, Yuck Mouth. And he was like, oh, awesome. I got, you basically confirmed it, that it's real. And I was like, oh, it's definitely real. And then he said that a customer who was a big fan of the show came in and bought it and keeps it at home behind glass. So that's pretty cool to me.
That's good to know it made its way to a good home.
Yeah,
dude, you made a movie prop. That's crazy. You're like, yeah, exactly. Cool, dude.
Or Warner Brothers, and I didn't even solicit it. They literally reached out to me out of the blue, just one day randomly. I mean, I couldn't have planned it if I wanted to.
That's badass, dude.
I was gonna say, with your art, dude, it's so intricate and whatnot. Have you ever thought about getting into like any type of practical effects, since it is something you're like into? Because I mean, you would fit perfectly with like any horror today, because that's coming back. The practical wave is coming back big time, especially in indie.
I definitely
like it, dude.
There's some people on Instagram who are definitely doing that kind of like themselves already. Sig Newton, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was one of the he was in the Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off. I follow him on Instagram. I love his work, just like what you're saying. He's doing that kind of thing. But yeah, that's something I'm interested in, but I'm 100% self-taught. Everything that you see here, I figured it out myself. I just sat down with the material and put the hours in literally every single day since I've started. I mean, I've missed maybe one or two when we've gone on some vacations, but I had been working on this every single day, honing my skills. So this is stuff that I figured out alone. All that stuff that you're kind of talking about, I feel like that's like you got to take some classes, you got to get some guidance.
Well, I mean, the proof is kind of there behind you.
If you can teach yourself that, you can teach yourself effects.
Imagine working alongside those people that already have that knowledge.
Sure. Well, I always thought in the back of my mind
a lot from others.
Yeah. It's always been in the back of my mind that if this, if moldycreations.com doesn't pan out, or if for some reason business just comes to a stop, I've always kind of held out hope that this could lead me to the next big thing. You know, this could maybe get me into a Hollywood practical effects studio, like Studio ADI, who made all the stuff for Aliens and Predators and Alien versus Predator, tons of other stuff too. You know, things like that. One of those awesome big name studios. If this was my resume that got me in, I wouldn't be disappointed. You know.
That's all you can ask for, is that turn a passion like that into, you know.
I mean, clearly there's so much here that shows that, you know, you have to be a pretty driven person to have. I mean, I am literally the sole person here. I am all behind the business side of it, the social media. I am the shipping manager. I am the sculptor. I am the painter. I'm the glosser. I do latex, resin, clay. I mean, and again, I had to figure it out on my own. So, I mean, if somebody in Hollywood catches wind, let's do it.
There you go. I mean, you're already on Miley's radar. So,
well, not anymore. Matter of fact, that was on my original Moldy Creations Instagram, which was banned, unfortunately.
Ooh, how'd that happen?
I was this close from hitting 100,000 followers. I had the account for 2 years. And that was the account Miley Cyrus reached out to me and was following. And even some other random, like the actor who plays the Teen Wolf on Fox was randomly, things like that, some random stuff like that. Yeah. But I was making pop sockets for cell phones. The little thing goes on the back to help you hold the phone.
Yeah, I saw some of your eyeball ones on the
that's exactly it. I put like a realistic eyeball basically on a pop socket. Wicked. And then the Real Pop Sockets company caught wind of it somehow and started spamming my account with copyright infringement anytime I would post an image of one. And it was like, like the first time it happened, I posted a picture and I think I even called it a moldy pop socket. So, okay, fine. I used their name, right? Mm-hmm. It got removed and I had a warning sent to me saying that you did a copyright infringement, boo-boo. And they don't even tell you what post you made, who complaining, what you did wrong. All they say is, we have removed a post that violated the terms of service. So then it's up to me to figure out what got removed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I noticed that
at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So then I'm like, okay, it must have been the pop socket one. That's gone now. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I change the name. So I call it a moldy eye socket, because how can you copyright eye socket?
Right.
And then that one got removed. And then I was like, wow, what the fuck? So then I tried one last time. And this time it wasn't even a post that was promoting them as for sale in my shop. I gave one away as a prize for reaching, 92,000, 98,000, something like that,
Yep.
And I said, congratulations at so-and-so, you've won this as a moldycreations.com prize. That post got removed. And then I had an email that said, you are no longer allowed to use Instagram. So 3 strikes and I was out, and I mean, I guess shame on me for trying to figure out what the fuck I did wrong and trying to work within or around the parameters
oh man,
but there was no way I was going to win, because first of all, Pop Sockets has like 400,000 followers. They probably pay thousands of dollars in actual money to advertise on Instagram. And they went through the effort of filing for the copyright infringement, which I looked into. You actually have to submit paperwork from a lawyer. You can't just frivolously go on Instagram and report somebody for copyright infringement. You do have to submit paperwork. So they really went the extra mile. Instagram greased the squeaky wheel, never even asked my opinion or said, hey, you shouldn't, or, I kind of felt like I got dicked on that one a little bit, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And the real kick in the ass, I was on my way down to Los Angeles for my biggest show. I do shows on occasion. I was doing a Monsterpalooza, Los Angeles. And I was not even on the freeway yet. And my wife calls and goes, honey, I can't find your Instagram account. I'm trying to look at, your thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had just read this crazy story the day before of some girl getting banned, and she didn't know why either. And she actually went on the news and was like petitioning to try and get her account back.
Holy shit.
Which I was not willing to try to go through, because that's crazy. But fortunately, because I was on my way to LA, and going to a show, I was able to basically in person tell everybody, hey, we got banned. Here's the new account. I was at Moldy Creations. Now I'm Moldy.Creations. I was able to kind of find something really similar.
Not that far off. Yep.
Yeah, not too far off. That way, if anybody starts looking for MOLDY or whatever, it's just going to come up again. Yeah. Yep. And so I did gain from that weekend a nice 5,000 follower head start on my new account.
I mean,
but here I am.
It sucks that it's a fraction of what you had, but honestly, that's probably going to an in-person thing right after that happened was probably the best possible way to get those.
It was kind of a blessing because you know, you got to think like when I've transitioned into doing this full time, I did it slowly. I was doing construction full time. I was doing this as a part-time hobby until my social media, Instagram, had passed over 50,000 followers. That was when I was able to make enough sales. I made a sale every day at that point, essentially. Nice. And I was able to pay all the bills and, you know, make more money than I was doing construction, and then now put all my attention into this. So that didn't happen now that I started a brand new account and I had maybe a 5,000 head, you know, start. But there were people who still knew I had a website. I did still, fortunately, have sales trickle in. But for about 2 or 3 months, I did have to go back to construction part-time to fill in the gaps, which fortunately I still had people out there. I worked for property management, so they have a lot of properties that need upkeep, and they can always use a hand with that, you know. So fortunately, I have not burned any bridges.
Right.
And that's some good advice. Don't burn bridges.
That's a really important lesson for sure.
Yeah, I had to learn that one for sure. I've definitely burned a couple and bit me in the ass later, you know, but don't burn bridges. Yeah. You never know. You're going to have to come back and be like, I'm so sorry.
So you said you've been doing it for about 5 years now?
Yeah.
So seeing a couple of seasons, do you notice an uptick around, say, I would imagine like Halloween is probably more of a holiday for people?
You would think, but no. Halloween is not. No, it's not the busy time. It seems to be right after. Yeah, it seems like people are more interested in getting Christmas gifts because with Halloween, you're not so much buying gifts, and I don't really make props that you put in the front yard so much. I do get some, you know, people going like, oh, I'm having a Halloween party. Can I get XYZ? So it does happen, but the big uptick is actually November to December, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I would love to unwrap one of those beasts from.
Yeah, that's what I always say. You know, hey, if it doesn't float your boat, you probably know somebody who would really like one as a gift.
Yeah.
So somebody always knows somebody quirky who's into Halloween year round. You know.
And even if you're not a smoker, there's plenty of things in terms of phone cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Masks, the posters.
It's funny because the bongs were not the first thing I made. The first thing I think I ever made was a flower pot.
Oh, nice.
I think I took just a tiny little terracotta pot. I put an eye on it, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Just to see if I could do it. You know, can I make an eyeball? Can I make teeth look real? You know, and there was a lot of trial and error and practice every day. And, you know, and then when I finally did get around to making bongs, I was still learning my own technique. So it would take me a full day to sculpt one bong. And now I can sit down and I can sculpt 6 to 10 in one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the next day I would paint it. And then probably the day after that, I would gloss it. So 3 days probably to do about 10 of them. If that's like a 10-hour day though, you know. I work all day and into the night. I don't know. I'm not a workaholic, but I'm very like focused is the best way I could put it. You know?
Are you listening to podcasts or anything while you're?
Yeah. I'm checking out the podcast. I saw you guys had the guy who played Art the Clown. That was pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I sit around, I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and I've pretty much seen absolutely everything on Netflix and almost everything on Amazon Prime. And
there you go. Do you have like a little workshop like within your house?
Yeah, I just work out of a spare bedroom, actually. I have a really nice big desk that my dad left me that I sit at, and I got my computer in front of me so I can, you know, cruise the web or watch some shows or even check out some how-tos, sharpen some skills.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, but we have a child number 2 on the way, so I'm actually about to transition out of the house because we need that room now.
So you're thinking of having your own like studio space somewhere else rented?
I'm actually in a shed in my backyard right now. I have a really large shed that we used to grow weed in, but now we just grow outside. So
perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. It's a good size.
Sheds are the like thing today.
It's about half of it. There's another half that goes over there. Yeah.
Nice.
Everybody's getting into sheds. Like I'm an eBay reseller. I'm seeing eBay resellers buying sheds to just houses. They're little mini warehouses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Studios
people who try to put a bed in it and rent it out for $2,000.
Oh god!
Yeah. Mad podcasters buy sheds now to do studio. I know musicians that are doing it. Like
for sure.
I mean, Mark,
it's all about keeping that low overhead. Keep it that overhead as low as possible. Because again, I'm gonna be right in my backyard. My wife and my kids are right there, and I can pop in for snacks and hang out, play with them for a few minutes, get right back to work.
It's an easy commute for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Even if you had an office,
let me tell you, I commuted. I commuted in the Bay Area, man. Let me tell you.
Even if you had an office that size, I mean, you're talking a couple $100 a month. It's that up cost. Things that are.
I think, I was looking at a building that was about 4 times the size, and it was going to be $600 roughly a month.
Yeah.
But that's just $600 more a month that I now don't have to spend. So
in the pocket.
Yeah. It can go back into the business, buying more materials or buying new materials. I'm always trying to figure out, okay, which direction should I go next? Right now, I'm trying to figure out, should I start exploring the world of silicone, which is crazy. That's a whole other, thing to learn.
Working with it as a medium, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Because what you would normally do if you're going to work with silicone is you would sculpt something out of clay, and then you make a mold. But then when you're pouring stuff in your mold, now you're pouring silicone. And then when you get the silicone out, now you have a silicone version of whatever you sculpted, but you can only paint silicone with silicone paint. And also nothing sticks to silicone except silicone. So I wouldn't be able to put the resin that I use for the glossy effects. Yeah. I don't know how I would make an eyeball work in that kind of medium either, because there's no stick function. It's tricky. Normally when somebody makes something that's like a silicone head, they've made resin eyeballs that go behind the silicone, and then it's backfilled with like a foam to keep everything intact and in place. And then those aren't functional. They're once again, you're back to do not touch. So
yeah,
but kind of new obstacles to overcome.
Yeah, that's why normally when you see things with silicone, there's no eyeballs involved. You get maybe some teeth and the fleshy look, and that's where it ends. Or somebody's punched hair in it as well. And that's another thing I want to get into is learning how to punch hair. I do make some Halloween masks of my own. This is one of my zombie masks with the functioning jaw, and it just functions because it's 100% latex. So just by making it, by cutting it, it does fit on the jaw well enough to move with your mouth.
Cool.
But again, latex, no eyes on these. But you do see latex masks where the eye is sculpted in and then hand painted. So I could do that, I suppose. But now this one's the COVID mask.
Are these
100% latex,
or are these for other people?
That happens too. But normally, when somebody commissions me for something like the Rick and Morty piece, once I've done one and I've taken a lot of photos, I'm going to add it to the website. Basically, now as an option to purchase, because if you do go to moldycreations.com, nothing on the website is sitting here ready to go. This stuff here is here because I'm going to ship it tomorrow, or it was made for one of the shows I go to.
So they're all normally basically
made to order. Yeah, made to order.
Unique too.
Yeah, exactly. That way you get to choose eye color. You get to choose. You can mix and match some of the details, or add some drool. Add some green slime to it.
Damn,
dude, that one is my favorite. I think, dude, that is so gnarly.
That has you written all over it, Matt.
Rick and Morty. I got these big pussy, drippy things.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to change things up, that's an option, because I haven't made it yet, and people really enjoy that. They understand that it's going to take about 6 weeks before it's going to be shipped to their house. But
it's going to be something that they love forever.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's I once in a while people ask me to autograph it, and I know that those people are really going to take care of it. And then I definitely get people who don't take care of it, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm like, it's art, it's functional art, but you still have to keep in mind that I wouldn't pass it around at a party,
I dropped this in the parking lot and it broke, bro.
Yeah. Trust everyone in that smoking circle, because
man. Have a couple beers.
I would suggest
you got a party foul, and Jessica can't come over anymore.
I would suggest to anyone who has that to never hand it to me, because I am fucking terrible. Clumsy. Yeah,
dude, as soon as I saw that table, I was like, "Ooh, you can't get anywhere near it."
Yeah,
you know how I look at things. You say don't touch, but I have to put my hands behind my back.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I get that at the shows. I'm always sweating bullets at the shows, standing behind a table, and it's laid out like this. And
oh God!
I have my big lamps up here, and they're always going off. And people are like, oh man, I really want to touch. I'm like, well, go for it. And they're like, no way, man, I don't trust myself. I'm like, well, then I respect that.
Right.
No,
But you haven't had any disasters yet, though, right?
Yeah. No. I have had people drop stuff, but nothing is broken.
Oh.
So it's just a testament to the quality. I'm like, hey, you didn't break it. Now you got to buy it.
So if these slackers that are listening want to, do a custom order and stuff, where do they find you? What are the
I actually I respond to every direct message that I get, either through Facebook or Instagram. So either way is best. I like Instagram, I think, a little bit better. I have the notifications turned off. So like as I check it occasionally throughout the day, I can get to some of the questions and see if it's because I actually just got hit up for a custom Carnage bong. I'm gonna be doing my first Carnage related bong.
Oh, I need
or
to see that.
If you've seen the Venom bong, that one was really popular.
Yeah,
so Carnage,
I'm not surprised.
Cool.
Especially, was that around the time that the Venom movie was coming out and everything?
It was, absolutely, yeah. And I just sold a Venom lemon piece too, where basically like the base down here is a big Venom head, and then going all the way up here is this black symbiote like goop looking stuff.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, that piece was so cool. It came out so great, and I just sold that one. But yeah, I've always got some custom pieces I'm working on. I'm trying to think. Somebody else just hit me up for something. Oh, a Freddy Krueger piece somebody asked me about today.
Sweet.
Which it's something I've thought about. Like most of the stuff that people suggest is something I've thought about, but right now I have 100 orders that I have yet to make. Wow. So it doesn't leave me a lot of free time to make new items. So the best way to see something new is to commission it, because then I'm definitely gonna make it. The Carnage bong was one I've been wanting to make, but again, like I'm so busy, there's not a lot of downtime. So somebody hit me up, had the idea. I said, that's something I want to do. I just haven't had the time. Like, okay, well, I'll do it. Let's do it. And he ordered it. So it's going to get made now.
Nice. So my dreams of a puppet master bong could come to fruition.
It's all possible. Yeah. You should check out the Moldy box. It's my version of a Jack in the Box. It actually plays Pop Goes the Weasel, and there's an insane clown pops out with a knife, and you can peel back his hat and there's brains exposed. And I forget how many things I've made at this point. It's over 200 different items at this point. I mean, license plate frames, even wallets.
Damn.
Even things like I do make sometimes, just stuff that sits on a shelf. This is just my my Guinness beer can. I finished drinking a Guinness beer can one night, and I was like, I'm going to turn this fucker into something.
Oh wow!
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see. It's not a can koozie because you can.
Right. It's actually hollow.
Yeah. So I cut open the can, filled it up with some aluminum foil. That's usually the best material for filling spaces when working with clay, because
you just melt it down.
No, you just crumple it up into a ball.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't melt. Yeah.
No, it don't melt. It's perfect for filling in spaces, because with clay, with most types of clay, you can't put it on thicker than about 1/4 of an inch because it'll crack.
Oh,
so if you put
and
it
gets
thicker,
really heavy, I would imagine. But foil,
yeah, that too. Yeah. So I mean, something like this, already the glass is going to weigh a little bit. I added at least 1 pound to this piece by putting my art on it, basically. Yeah.
But towards the bottom, right? It's more bottom heavy than top heavy.
Yeah, it's more bottom heavy than top heavy. It's all covered. I do try to make sure that going up towards the top that it's thinner. I don't put chunks,
Right.
But yeah, it definitely doesn't have any issues with not toppling over, especially with such a flat bottom on it.
Right.
Dude, I think you could fight a burglar with that thing, and it would take a hit after.
I bet. Yeah.
or spikes.
I just made some moldy pistol grips I actually have a 1911.
Nice.
So
Holy
I was like,
shit! I gotta see.
I was like looking at my
wild.
grips, and I was like, those come off so easily. I could easily sculpt something with that. So I made one like just solid black with a big like dragon eye on it.
Well, our Patreon slackers will get a look at that one. Everyone else will have to wait.
Right on.
Well, this has been awesome, man. Let's get your plugs out there so that everyone knows where to get at you.
Well, so Instagram is at moldy.creations, Facebook Moldy Creations, YouTube Moldy Creations. I've got some how-tos. I've been working on some tutorials, trying to get my YouTube presence built up so that maybe I can make a little bit more passive income. Because right now I work for every single dollar.
Dude, time lapse that shit. You time lapse? Oh, dude, I would watch every one. That'd be
well. Check it out. There is a couple of those on there currently.
Nice.
And I think apart from that, I don't have other things to plug, but my shows have almost all been canceled. So far, I'm still on for Son of Monsterpalooza, which takes place in Burbank, and that will be in September.
Okay.
So if you guys are in the Los Angeles area, check out Son of Monsterpalooza. This will be my first time at Son of Monsterpalooza. I've always gone to Monsterpalooza, which is the big event. This one's kind of a little bit of a smaller event. Monsterpalooza is in Pasadena, so this one's in Burbank, just down the way a little bit more. But yeah, so that's still on as far as I know, and hopefully it won't get canceled.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Well, people check out his pieces. I have a feeling the prices are just going to go up the busier this man gets. So
just
get your hands on one.
They just did. So
see what I'm saying?
Get on it.
I feel it. I feel it in the air, man. And I love your pieces. I got to take a look because I feel like I'm going to have to order something. This is just a wild selection you have.
Thanks,
maybe big. Have you ever done a Bigfoot? We'll talk after. We'll talk after. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
I did a Bigfoot beard koozie because there was a guy with a Sasquatch related themed company.
Nice.
So
okay. All right. Now you're talking. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in or watching, whatever you're doing. Hey, catch me, MWG Media on Instagram, Matty G from HP on Xbox Live if you want to catch these hands.
And you can follow me at Landers the Plane. Joe, thank you for coming on again, man. It's been a
Thanks,
pleasure.
guys. Appreciate it. Good talking to you.
Yeah, man. Until next time, that's it.
There you go.
We smoking America. We passing America. I'm mapping America. I'm second America. We talking America. We blazing America. This is fucking America. We're second America.
This has been American Slacker Podcast. You can reach the show by searching American Slacker on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit, or send them an email to americanslackerpodcast@gmail.com. You can download and rate American Slacker on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and all other podcast platforms. Visit the show's website, aspodcast.com, where you will find every episode, official merchandise, and links to their Patreon if you would like to support American Slacker.
We're smoking America.